the Driveway Podcast.
How's it going, boys and girls? Welcome back.
What up,
It is
what up?
episode 18. We made it to episode 18 of the Driveway. I'm here blessed with your gracious hosts and co-hosts, Danny and Danny. It is good to be back. Sorry we did miss last week. We have a lot to cover in the terms of the World Cup, a little bit of basketball. Football's taking a back seat for now. They're on the back burner. Just know that within the next few months we are going to be covering football more than ever because this is still our first year here, so we're going to try to, keep everything competitive. But starting off with some NBA talk, Danny, how have you been before we get to NBA?
Good, man. No one give me shit for being a 30-year-old man drinking a Capri Sun.
You didn't even have to show it.
I'm chilling. I celebrated my 32nd birthday over our little break, so your boy's old, and yeah, man, I'm living life. I've been just trying to keep up. There was like a swing of NBA trades where you're trying to enjoy your holiday, but shit just is hitting the fan. Mm-hmm. And then you're also watching constant, which you and I have been texting back and forth. Even before the USA was kind of out, I'm kind of really struggling through this FIFA World Cup. I know everyone is trying to act like they're super into it, but just too many blowouts. And it's just been kind of one of those tournaments that it's nice to have something to watch in July, right? That's the only reason why it worked. For me, it works. But I'm not gonna lie to you. If this was October, I'd be watching college football.
Mm-hmm. Understood. Yeah, understood.
And I'd be just watching the 9-minute. How I watch the Champions League, where you go on those YouTube videos and then
you find the 9-minute
champions,
yeah.
And then it shows you a 9-minute clip. That's how I would be watching the World Cup if it was during football season. But I ain't got shit to do for
the last World Cup. I remember. I'm a pretty big soccer fan.
Oh, it was in December. That's right.
Yeah, the last World Cup I was doing the same thing. I was there was other things on. And they were on at very weird times, obviously. So it's waking up at 7 a.m. I didn't wake up most 7 a.m. games on my weekend. I slept in. So that part I totally understand. But happy late birthday to the man.
Thank you.
You're looking very good, looking very fresh for this pod.
Oh, I'm always fresh, dude.
Always fresh indeed.
I'm always fresh. I'm always in a good mood when we talk sports. Like I said, I feel like you've been teasing me for the last 2 weeks for this episode, man, because I've just been eating NBA free agency. I'm watching Darren Peterson clips on YouTube. I'm getting fucking hyped for NBA Summer League. I'm just ready, dude. I don't know why, but there's always that 1 week, 2 week span in the summer after the NBA Finals where you get super into basketball. You're just it's right after the NBA draft, right when the Summer League kicks, when they're we're closing up on trades and free agency, and the Summer League's tipping off, and you're just you can't get enough basketball. And then after the Summer League, you forget all about basketball until it actually tips off. You know what I mean?
And Summer League ball is actually pretty fun to watch. Bulls game starts tomorrow. They have a 4-game stretch going into the next week, so that's going to be pretty exciting to cover. But speaking of fresh, we're going to head into people looking fresh and staying fresh. Going into some NBA talk, LeBron James is looking for a new fresh start, or we should say maybe a fresh ending, a nice way to close his chapter of his NBA career, as so we believe. It is between 3 teams that people are kind of chatting and talking about, and Rich Paul did have a recent news break saying that it's likely going to be part of these 3 teams, and it's going to be the Heat, Cavs, and 76ers. 2 of them would be his re-return, so the re-LeBron return, and then 76ers were a kind of a wild card thrown in there, which is obviously a team he's never spent time in. I don't think he's ever lived in Philadelphia. That would be pretty interesting. Danny, how are you kind of heading into this free agency with LeBron? Do you think he's the biggest storyline, or is there a bigger storyline waiting to happen?
I still think he's going to Washington to be in politics. That was why he went to the Lakers, was so he could be in movies and he could make a new Space Jam. And once he got bored of that, he with how much he's been talking about world issues, I fully expect in 2028 for it to be, the Democratic, LeBron James versus the Republican Stephen A. Smith. Yeah. I like that's where my head's at. However, I think if he's thinking championship, dude, it's Philly.
It's Philly, yeah.
Dude, if you put him, Jaylen Brown, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey on the same team, holy shit,
Pretty good
that's
for the
fun.
East too, especially for the East. It's a pretty easy layup with a roster that deep and that good. I'm so
Yeah.
glad you mentioned Washington though, because you're gonna love the cover of this episode. Without even talking about it prior, on the cover of the episode is LeBron in a Wizards jersey. Just to throw
I
people
love
off.
that.
Just to throw people off if they look at the episode, be like, LeBron, what the fuck, in a Wizards jersey?
In a Wizards jersey, dude,
You
know what? I
LeBron
could see
goes
it,
to the Wizards. That would be some
dude.
shit.
Honestly, like, you want to talk about legacy? Like, if I'm LeBron, the other thing I didn't even think of with LeBron is like how much more of a fuck you to Jordan would it be if LeBron goes and wins in Washington when he's 41?
Yeah. I thought
Because Jordan went to Washington and didn't do a goddamn thing. He already won in L.A. like Kobe did. You know, he brought a title to his hometown team in Cleveland. He went to Miami and he created the big three and they won a championship there and he beat San Antonio, the boogeyman that had his number. So why not go to Washington, win a title when you're 41 with your old buddy Anthony Davis, say fuck you MJ, I did what you couldn't do, and then go off into the sunset and go against Stephen A. Smith in the 2028 presidential election.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. I mean, Washington for me wasn't so totally out of the picture because I definitely saw it in so many other terms. But when you talk about that, it does shed light that LeBron or Jordan will constantly be on LeBron's mind for as long as.
And they're not done. I mean, they just re-added Chris Middleton. Like, Washington fully expects to be a title contender this year.
Yeah,
is what I'm getting out of it. Like they fully, and I mean, what's missing? I mean, Middleton's probably going to be playing the three, switching and like being the vet to help AJ get acclimated. Then the backcourt's pretty much Trey. They're pretty much set. They're pretty much overcrowded at center and power forward. So LeBron might not make a whole lot of sense from a roster standpoint. Obviously, Philly has a wide open, glaring hole there at power forward, and you could put VJ up at the 2. You could play around there, and you can have your starting 5 be Maxey, LeBron, Jalen, VJ, and Joel Embiid. I mean, that's starting 5, dude. That's
pretty
starting
tough.
5.
That would give the Knicks nightmares, right?
Dude, I mean, the Knicks, I don't know what the Knicks... how long... Let me ask you a question, Dijo. How long into this next season will the Karl Anthony Towns trade rumors kick back up?
They're going to need to make a move at least sometime next year because of that second apron, because they're pretty well above it. And if they know they're not going to win another ring, which I know they're going to try for it, I could see by the trade deadline, if the Knicks are under like a 4th seed, right, let's call them the 5th seed, I think they definitely go for the trade rumors. I find that very possible, yeah.
I give it 2 months with Karl Anthony Towns struggling on defense with no Miles McBride to help him. I think he's going to go out there and he's going to struggle defensively, and he's going to try to overcompensate by shooting them into games, and he's going to do the exact opposite and shoot them out of games. And we're going to see a little bit less cohesiveness on that roster next year. And I think that within the first 2 months, before Christmas games, you're going to start hearing it. You're going to start hearing complaining. Karl Anthony Towns gets traded. I think it'd be hilarious. I think the Celtics right now. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are upset, but how upset are you if you're a Celtics fan?
Well, yeah, we can get into that right now, actually. So,
You know,
as for those who know, we talked a little bit about 76ers and LeBron, but the 76ers did make already a pretty tidal wave move heading into free agency here. They contacted the team that they beat last year, right? And they returned from a 3-1 lead. They go, hey, we want the player that thinks he's the number 1 option on your team. You might think he's the number 2 or 3. we'll give you whatever assets you want. And in return, the Celtics agreed to Paul George, a 2028 first-round pick, a 2031 first-round pick, and a 2028 second-round pick, 2030 second-round pick. So a few pretty good picks. I remember me and you talked that one of those picks was coming in from the Timberwolves, right?
The Clippers, I thought.
The Clippers, yes, where they think in by 2028 the Clippers will also be, not a competing team, which they're definitely not in the competition right now. And the 76ers just received Jaylen Brown. Tell me your thoughts on this, Danny, because obviously, like when the news broke for me, this wasn't huge, altering, because I was more focused on the Bulls and kind of what moves they were making. But obviously,
Sure.
you talked a lot about what we saw here. So what did you see?
Trying to say how I'm trying to figure out how to say this.
Let's hear it. Okay.
The last couple years, there has been far too many NBA trades that make zero sense. And the first time reading this, and even the 10th time reading this, I still cannot make sense of this trade. Like, I don't really see Boston's like thought process on this. I don't really understand how this could have been the best offer. Even if Jaylen Brown is really as big of a problem as oh shit. Let's do it. Oh, are we going now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
whenever you
we're
want to
going
cook. We're back.
We're back. Fucking,
back.
hold on, wait. Netflix just
Fucking
popped up and was
technology.
loading. I know, dude. Yeah, let's go. Jaylen Brown
go.
to the Celtics. Okay. To the Sixers. Jaylen Brown. So where I was going before technology came in and fucked us up. There's too many trades in the NBA that have just made zero sense. I mean, obviously the most obvious example is Luka Doncic, but like you go through some of these trades, Dijo, and like I genuinely have no idea what they're thinking when I look at this. And that's kind of like where I landed with this Jaylen Brown trade. It's hard, it's hard to, because they said that they shopped him and they spent some time shopping him, and it's really hard for me to see and say that's the best offer you got for Jaylen Brown, and then see what the Bucks got for Giannis, right? An older player who's had just as bad of a temper tantrum as Jaylen Brown has. Giannis is even streaming now. He's going on streamer sites. So, like, I don't understand. Like, it's very obvious what Jaylen Brown can bring your team. He showed last year. He did it by himself, and he won a championship with another star. To me, like, that's all I need to see. And, like, what we're getting is like people saying that, oh, like Jaylen Brown is people are saying like he thinks he's the smartest guy when he enters the room. And it's like, but is that like really worth looking at a guy who scores 30 points a game and going, yeah, I don't need that?
It is also
like
good in the playoffs. Like he is a great 30-point scorer, but like he's proven he's won a championship and a Finals MVP. Like I feel like we talk a little light of him sometimes. He is a good player. He is. You could say potentially top 10.
I think he is top 10. I think he is. I think he's easily top 10. I struggle finding. I struggle finding players that are better than him. I think he might. There's an argument that he might be able. He's budding top 5 maybe. I just like. I don't understand. Like Boston's standpoint, because like, okay, yay, you get 2 first-round picks, right? You get 2 first-round picks. The likelihood that those 2 picks turn into a guy as good as Jaylen Brown is what, 5%?
Very unlikely. Yeah, very unlikely.
Very unlikely.
We can already kind of ruin the idea that they will not find a replacement for Jaylen Brown with those 2 picks.
Exactly.
Right?
And then you bring in a injury-prone 36-year-old Paul George who has maybe the worst contract in the NBA right now. So I just don't. And this comes after you gave Deuce McBride big-time money. I just don't understand. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I think by
I
Deuce
thought
McBride,
Lucas
you mean
was.
Mitchell Robinson?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah,
Why do
that
I
makes
keep
sense.
calling him Miles McBride?
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay.
I called him.
I
I
got you
didn't
there.
call him Miles. I called him Miles
I think you
McBride
did.
earlier.
You might have. You might
Yeah.
have.
That's we're. You know what we're. This is last episode when I was calling Anthony Edwards Anthony Richardson. The whole
Yes,
time.
Anthony. Yeah, what a
I
crazy.
kept calling him Anthony Richardson, and then I realized it, and I started just saying Ant because
Ant.
I kept calling him. Yeah,
Sure, man. Yeah,
it
that's
comes
so
with
funny.
age. Where
Yeah.
I'm getting older. No, man, I don't understand what Boston's thought process was here. If you're punting, a lot of people were saying, well, maybe they're punting. I don't think you're punting because you
No.
gave Mitchell Robinson money and you still have Jason Tatum. I mean, how bad do you think you're going to be with a
They
Jason
signed Mike
Tatum
Conley.
led?
Yeah,
And you got
Mike
Peyton
Conley. They signed an
Pritchard. You
old
got-
point guard. Yeah, like
Yeah. I don't understand. People are like, oh, we're punting on this year. Well, if Jason Tatum's healthy, how can you say you're punting? I mean, he's going to win you
kinda guy
at
with
least
Mike
a 4
Conley,
seed.
right? A guy who's like very much a dying dog, like is in his last years. He
Yeah.
probably gave him the expectation where it's like, hey, we're competing. Like I think the Celtics do end up competing. I think a trash away year is a very irresponsible thing that the Celtics would do. If that's what their goal is. It's a bad idea. For them.
I don't really see how Paul George helps you. I guess
We haven't even talked about that yet. I know, I forgot Paul George.
and not only that, but like your big issue was Jaylen Brown streaming and having essentially a podcast. So what do you do?
Having a personality. You know what I mean? Like,
And what do you do? You get a guy who has a podcast,
Yeah.
who says controversial shit on a podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Is it a cat
Paul
podcast?
George has done the exact same thing you're saying. I thought so. I want to give credit to this. Brandon Walker on, I think he said it on Mostly Sports. And he said sports leagues need to do a much, much better job at when they say that there's a problem with a certain player. Well, God damn it, say what the problem is. Mm-hmm. He said he was talking about how, and we've been seeing this, there's a million people reporting about how bad of a person Jaylen Brown is. But like all the media could see is, oh, he said some mean things about Jason Tatum on a streaming. That's it.
That's it.
That's why you literally compromised your entire franchise.
Fine with me. Yeah, like I got no fucking problem with that. Like if they got to beef together to be better, then they got to beef a little bit. It's the two best players. The Paul George thing is difficult for me because he's already so many years moved away from him being like a successful starting small forward and give you meaningful minutes, especially in the playoffs. Every time I see people coping, right, and I'm like, I understand having to cope, but Paul George to me you're over it. Like, there's no more coping left for a player like Paul George, especially if you gave up a player like Jaylen Brown. So I think that's my biggest thing is that don't look at him as any sort of a positive rather than him just being a filler replacement for Jaylen Brown, a guy who can do 75% less the work that he did but can still recover. I'm not happy with this trade at all, only because you could have got him. The Sixers gave him a good deal, but I sure believe that he could have gotten a better deal a year prior to the moment that they traded him. 100% a year.
And you trade the guy who didn't tear his Achilles.
Yeah, that's another thing. Tatum might have, in my opinion, somewhat less of a future than Jaylen Brown in terms of like how professional they're going to play.
If you had asked me in March what my thoughts were, if you had asked me in February, I would have easily said, if there's one guy getting traded, it's Tatum. Mm-hmm. Like the injury, the fact that he came back and did not look like himself, and then had to sit back down in a Game 7, like, and then you trade the guy who was the catalyst of your team and an MVP candidate and a guy who was a Finals MVP when both guys were healthy. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And kind of where I'm at on this whole entire situation now is just like, where do we go from here? Like, this league, it's exciting. Like, it's very exciting for guys like you and I, because this is a completely brand new NBA that we're going to be looking at when we come into this year. We're going to be looking at a bunch of brand new teams. We're going to be looking at brand new contenders. Like, we have a completely new landscape in the NBA. And I know, like, we'll get to the other trades, but, like, at the very least, if you were to say, okay, this guy is a cancerous player, and he didn't like anyone in our locker room, then why trade him to the Philadelphia 76ers?
Yeah, why to the team that just
why to the team who just beat you in the playoffs, who's a division rival? Why?
That's the biggest question mark, I think, is that like there's no way the best offer available was to the team that is going to be their biggest competition. And you could even say a rival. Like, you could say their biggest rival right now heading into next year is going to be Philly, because now they got a target on their back because Jaylen Brown is looking for vengeance, dude. Jaylen Brown's going to kill the Celtics.
If you trade him to Sacramento or you trade him to the Clippers, I don't think anyone's talking about this trade. Obviously, it's crazy. Obviously, it's crazy because a guy who almost won the MVP is being traded. But, like, we all know we all know the Celtics front office did not like him. And you trade him to the Clippers, and you go, okay, they just wanted to clearly get him out of town. They wanted to get him out of the situation. And, okay, he's going to be going and playing for the Clippers where he'll score 1 million points a game. Maybe he goes and tries to find a new home after that.
Yeah.
But for Brad Stevens to sit down and look at Tyrese Maxey and look at Joel Embiid and look at VJ Edgecombe and say, you know what they fucking need? Let's give them Jaylen Brown.
Let's give him a really good two-way guard.
A guy who fits in between those players perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm. Let's go into another one of the LeBron James suitors, one of his teams, Cleveland Cavaliers. They made a big move yesterday. Donovan Mitchell went ahead and signed a new 4-year, $273 million extension to stay with the Cavs until 2030. The reason why this deal is really, really huge is because the yearly average on this trade is $68.2 million, but obviously a lot of those numbers were shifted. In his 4th and final year in the Cavaliers, he'll be making over $70 million that one season. That is truly undescribable compared to the money that we were seeing as a kid, right? I remember growing up and your All-Star would have been a 4-year, $40 million deal. This is absolutely crazy. We're officially hitting the market in the worst time of NBA history, I think. Because think about this. Another team, if they wanted to pay for Donovan Mitchell, they might have to eat up this contract. It's a bad, bad scenario. So tell me, Danny, what do you think about this contract? Does this change a lot in the future? Do you think we see anything different? Or what do you think overall for a player like Donovan Mitchell? What do you think this means?
It's worse than the Trae Young contract.
Yeah, definitely, right?
I mean, Trae Young, you can at least say we got other players around him. And with Cleveland, it's very clear that Donovan Mitchell, his second option's a almost 40-year-old James Harden who just got arrested on gun charges. Mm-hmm. Like, and not only that, there's a big difference. Trae Young, I can't call Trae Young a winner. Donovan Mitchell is just a flashy Zach LaVine. He's a guy that demands the ball and kind of takes away from everyone else on the team. He's a very selfish player. And what? He's made it to the conference finals once. Was it with Cleveland? And they got swept. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't know, man. He's not a winner. And I just don't know. I feel like we are away from results mattering, right? Like, where has common sense gone in some of these contracts? Why are teams unable to look at a player and be like, this guy hasn't won anything, maybe we should move on to him. There are way too many Donovan Mitchells getting $250 million contracts. The Trae Young contract, the Zach LaVine contract. I could go on and on. There's way too many guys who haven't won shit and have continuously and consistently not won shit that are making Patrick Mahomes level money. And I'm flabbergasted at this. Like, you know, at least Jaylen Brown, you could say he won and Giannis Antetokounmpo, you could say those guys won a championship. Donovan Mitchell hasn't beaten anyone worth talking about. I mean, the playoff series he did win were against teams he should have beaten.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't say we saw him get paired with Rudy Gobert in Utah, and they couldn't beat anyone. So, like, what are we talking about? Like, what are we doing here? What are these contracts? Why are we fucking up the NBA ecosystem for guys who really don't garner that money?
Our expectations for Cleveland's already clear. If they get LeBron, then they have the potential for a championship. If they don't, Cleveland will not be winning a championship with this roster, especially not after paying Donovan Mitchell. They had questions before the season on if Donovan Mitchell was even going to extend. Here's the answer. They extended him for almost $70 million a year. That's what it took. That was the question mark where you're like, this is the answer. He got swept. The answer is we need Donovan Mitchell here. Now, whether that's LeBron James kind of twiddling in their ear, being like, hey, Donovan has to stay for me to have any chance to go there, totally fair. But I think the 4-year deal, is there like timeline even 4 years right now? With Mobley and Jared Allen, I don't think that timeline lasts 4 seasons, right?
No, and you talked about the second apron earlier. Cleveland's going to be right on that second apron every year.
With a team that isn't even not qualified, dude.
Not qualified, and they have no money now to bring someone in. The other thing, too, like, you know, the difference with, like, the NBA or the difference between the NBA and the NFL and MLB, because we're seeing a lot of these major contracts, and obviously the big difference is, like, something like the second apron. But with the NFL and more so, you know, I'll take the NFL out of it because I think drafting is very important to winning. But the Rams, you see spending in those two sports, in those two leagues, spending tends to actually lead to World Series and championships. But the NBA, you just got a picture of there's 8 different champions, and not only that, the team that's been the most consistently good the last 3 years, the Thunder, have done it by not locking themselves into bad contracts and moving on from players that are maybe hitting their height, or they're taking gambles and saying, I don't think this guy's ever going to be as good as we thought he was. Let's keep building in the draft. Like, you're seeing success come from smaller markets. And Cleveland and Washington are saying, we're on the other end of the spectrum. We're going to try to win like we're the LA Dodgers, right? But like, here's the problem, Dijo, is the Dodgers spent on guys who are at the top of their league. And we've talked about this in previous episodes. The guys that you would want to spend money on like that are 36, 37 years old. There's no one in the league that I really would look at and say, past their prime.
Yeah.
As Bulls fans, we were saying, like, why this is a great time to rebuild is there's nobody in the league that I would want to get married to after 4 years. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't give anyone a 3-4 year deal that's over a certain amount of $75 million. I wouldn't want any of that. Mm-hmm. I don't even like the Josh Giddey. I'd say trade Josh Giddey because I don't want anything to do with that because I don't think he's a winner. Mm-hmm. I think he's a great player. I don't think he's going to win us a championship. And I'm not trying to hate on Josh Giddey. I know he gets a lot of hate.
I would agree with you. Yeah.
But I think Josh is a guy that you're going to need to put him with some really good players. And I think Josh might even say that. I think he might even admit that because he's a creative guy who can open up shots for other players. And you can't really put Josh with guys who can't score and be successful. I can't imagine anyone in Cleveland being pumped about Donovan Mitchell getting this money. I can't.
I think
aside from maybe
go ahead.
Aside from maybe you want to be 4th or 5th seed every year and just be happy with that. and you want to lose to Detroit in the first round or some shit. And Detroit, they're another bag of shit we could talk about. I mean, what bad mismanagement there. But yeah, I don't see how anyone's excited about this.
I think the Josh Giddey point you made was really, really good, and I actually think it has a really good segue into our next piece of NBA information here. I think this is going to be the last one we cover here before we get into some World Cup talk, but we've been talking a lot of overpays or underpays. I think we finally have one that people are kind of justifying as the correct price, which is still kind of bonkers. So Trailblazers did receive Ja Morant in a trade over from the Grizzlies, where the Grizzlies only received Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. I compare this trade very, very closely to that of Trae Young, where you're getting two easy starters right now. I do think that trade happens a little bit differently just because CJ McCollum did win them 2 playoff games. Whatever you want to say about that, that's a pretty even trade for a player who was injured in Trae Young. And you take it 2 playoff wins against the champions. I guess that's somewhat of a silver medal for them. But you had a little bit of a different idea. You thought this trade was actually pretty decent from the Grizzlies, saying that this was some good amount of reimbursement for what Ja Morant has done to them and kind of wasted a lot of their time. So tell me what you think about this. First, I want you to tell me who actually wins this trade long term, and then B, do you think Ja Morant has potential to be back in that All-Star player that he once was, man?
Yeah, I think the Trailblazers win. I think Ja Morant is going to make them a better team. Apologies for the dogs barking as I'm going to explain this. They're going nuts down there. Amazon truck is out in front. Jesus Christ, they're so loud.
Did you get more dogs? I hear more than 2.
No, it's 3 of them, and they're in harmony right now. They're fucking going nuts. One's howling while the others bark. I would say this. Ja Morant's going to win more games with Portland. Portland's going to win more games with Ja Morant.
I think you're right there. Mm-hmm.
They're just going to be a better team. And hold on. Let me make sure this fucking guy's leaving. Yeah, this motherfucker's leaving. They're stopping. Ja Morant's going to bring more wins to Portland, so I think Portland ultimately wins it. Why I think this is important for Memphis, and why I said it was a good trade for Memphis. I mean, last year we were talking about, people were saying that Memphis was going to have to add a draft pick to get rid of Ja Morant, which I thought was crazy, because Ja Morant's still a great player in my eyes. I know he's an immature player, but, I mean, a guy could mature. A guy could grow. You know, a guy could,
especially when you have
with the right type of people around him.
Damian Lillard now is your like, leader.
Dame. And that's what I love about the trade, is because Dame's there, and he can take him under his wing.
Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday's Drew Holiday's a winner. I mean, like, a guy who's won a championship. Like, I think it's a perfect place for a guy like Ja Morant to go to. However, on the flip side for Memphis, you don't move on from any picks. And right now, picks are going to be really big for them. You get a guy, I said this, it was the Murray I wouldn't want. You know, his brother's probably a much better player in Sacramento. But he's still a great bridge player. He's going to cost you $5 an hour to give you good, solid basketball
every game
while you're losing.
You know, him and Jeremy will start every game,
So Jeremy is interesting. Why Jeremy Grant is interesting is, this to me is Portland saying that we think the regression is real and we're going to move on from it. Now, if you're Memphis, you're thrilled about it because you have a guy coming towards the end of his contract, or at least to the point where it's now a movable contract.
Yeah.
And if he does come back and puts up numbers that he did with Portland, now Memphis has an opportunity to move a guy at the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really huge for a team like Memphis, where you can say, hey, here's a power forward to a team that's a power forward away from competing. Look, if LeBron doesn't go to Philly and Jeremy Grant's averaging 18, 19 points a game, Philly's calling Memphis about Jeremy Grant. They're going to throw any picks they need to get Jeremy Grant. So, like, it gives Memphis, and then also Jeremy Grant's a veteran who could work with Boozer.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, it's a great trade. I don't know how much I love Memphis getting D'Angelo Russell. He's at this point, D'Angelo Russell, man, he's just like got more value than a $15 McDonald's gift card. People are just sending him around, and no one really cares. I mean, shit, send him the Bulls way. We'll take him.
Yeah, we'll take him
if he's that cheap. If he's that cheap, but yeah, I liked it for both teams. But if I had to pick one person to win, I think Portland wins, because if Ja Morant is for real and he grows up and he comes in and he has his head on a swivel, Portland just got themselves a superstar.
Exactly.
Just got themselves a superstar.
The potential is still there. Where he's been playing accurately lately has been kind of mismatched because of injury and also because they've been sitting him. I think he still has that potential in him, dude. Like, especially on that roster. You give him a few playoff games and he could pop off, and all of a sudden he's worth multiple first-round picks, you know?
He also averaged 22 points a game last year.
Yeah,
like,
scoring or not, like he does put up points. Yes, he always puts up points.
Yeah.
Whether he's a good shooter or not, yeah.
Yeah, and for a team like Portland, I mean, these types of trades are how you win. Because, you know what this kind of reminds me of? I mean, Portland's done it before. Remember when they were the Jailblazers, and they kind of had this same idea of, let's bring in the colorful personalities, and it took Kobe to knock them out of the playoffs. So, I mean, I just like where I'm at here with this is just like, if you're a team like Portland who's got to watch what you spend, and you're not the Lakers, you're not the Mavericks, the idea that you're going to get a guy like Ja Morant and you only had to give up Chris Murray and no, is it Chris or is it?
It is Chris Murray.
Chris Murray. It's Chris Murray. You only had to give up Chris Murray, and you only had to give up Jeremy Grant. That's a huge win for Portland in my eyes.
And I totally agree with you there. I think that's a pretty good move for both teams, meaning that both teams got positives out of it. We didn't get a lot of conversation from it because this was kind of one of those moves that it wasn't sexy in anyone's eyes. Like, this wasn't the Miami Heat. This wasn't the Nuggets. Like, this was a team between two teams that are both trying to compete at most for play-in spots. But I do think the Trailblazers do deserve a little bit more credit, especially how they took over last year and they took a game from the Spurs when Wembanyama was out. People will always forget about that. But a playoff win is a playoff win. I, as a Bulls fan, we took Game 1 against the Bucks. That was the last playoff game I remember. I still take that game against the Bucks because it meant something. It was something that we fought for all year to get that one playoff win. But Danny, okay, I think we covered NBA quite enough. I think we have one pretty honest time that we need to have together here about the development system of football, #soccer in the United States of America. Let's talk some World Cup, okay? Because these darn United States USMT, they let us down. And before we get into the rough patch of it, I'm gonna say one thing, and that's that they did compete. They did beat the teams that they needed to beat. They fell short from the part that they were at. Because Danny, if you told me at the beginning of this that the Team USA would make it to the round of 16, I think a part of me would be like, that is really good. That is good for us because I didn't. Dude, there was people that were projecting us to lose the group. They said Turkey was going to like butt fuck us, dude. Like, I think that's the hardest thing about this is that the expectations grew because this team actually we noticed that they modeled after a real soccer team and not just a make-believe team. They did end up being a bit more make-believe. They are who we thought they were, is my favorite line that I've been using this entire week. But, okay, Belgium beats Team USA 4-1 on Monday Night Football.
Beat the fuck out of them.
Beat the fuck out of them.
Beat the fuck out of them.
4-1 on Monday Night Football in Seattle. It was one of the largest, most packed crowds you've ever seen in your entire life. Head to toe in Americans, 95% of fans, at least Americans. So the entire country got to see this live.
Embarrassing.
This bruising. Danny, I mean, there's a million different bad parts about this game, but I want you to tell me kind of what was the expectation when the game first started, and when was the first point? What minute was the moment you realized that expectation can't be met?
First 2 minutes.
First 2 minutes.
The way Belgium
after that first shot that Belgium had, I was like, this game's not.
The way Belgium was moving and the way we kept turning the ball over, I said it's going to be an ass kicking. They faced a real opponent and they couldn't do anything against them, and they crumbled. And Wonder Boy, you can't even call him Captain America, maybe Supergirl, Christian Pulisic, fucking sucks, fucking stinks. And Zergenio Dest or whatever the fuck his name is, the weird looking dude. They both stink. They both are terrible, and they're supposed to be. I mean, how much did we give Germany for fucking Dest? He stinks.
Dest also got benched after the first half, and Pulisic got injured in like the 60th minute, and then actually ended up being subbed out.
They put Berholzer in like the 75th minute, and he was the only one who had some life in him.
Yeah,
some fucking nuts.
And he's looking at the crowd going like, "Come
Let's
on,
go!"
Yeah, we needed
and
that.
Pulisic.
The
team's a bunch of losers.
The experiment's over.
The goalie situation. The goalie situation is crazy to me. I mean, if Cape Verde could buy a Brazilian goalkeeper in Vizinho, the fact that we came in with these three chuds fucking doing nothing, I mean,
For the defense, the entire defense scored under a 4.5 point rating.
Tim Ream looks like he should be working at a fucking Urban Outfitters.
If you know
he's
the
a fucking
football rating system is usually scored to 10, and 4.5 is pretty bad. You start with a 6.
Dog
you
shit.
Start with a 6 rating. If you get to a 4.5 rating, that means you did only bad things. You did only things that impacted us negatively. Tim Ream, the captain. Tim Ream was the fucking captain of this team too. Like, and he played pretty bad. Okay, so boom. Okay, let's go into the game a little bit. So the game's 1-0. They score in the first 5 minutes. Team USA at the 38th minute, I believe, scored a goal. Or no, I think it was after. No, it was before half, right? The halftime was 2-1. So it was before half, 30th minute, we scored a goal. Not even 60 minutes into celebrating. I had 4 texts that I didn't even send yet. Team Belgium comes back. They ran down the middle, and not even down the middle of the field. They ran down the middle of the box to just kick it across the goalie. And our defense was so stagnant. They had no moves. They never kept their eyes on the fucking ball, which really it made me so nervous. And that's how I could tell that Belgium was going to just go down our throats because we had no clue where the ball was. When we were on defense, we were looking at our guy. But too bad in soccer, when you look at your guy, they're always going to be a step ahead of you. You can never defend your guy. You have to defend the ball. So that was my biggest issue, is why they just kept scoring on us. And so obviously the game ended 4-1. We scored before half, and then they put on 2 extra goals, 1 in extra time in the last few minutes. That was giving Lukaku. It's again like giving. It's like giving a dying dog a steak, dude. You know what I mean? Like feeding him.
I mean, I saw it. I knew we were fucked when we played Turkey.
Yeah.
The fact that Turkey scored 3 goals on us, and everyone was like, "Oh, the game didn't matter." Dude, we are who we thought we were. We played Bosnia and Australia, who really don't got shit when it comes to striking, and they just couldn't put away any of the chances. Paraguay, we scored 2 on them early, and then Paraguay gave up. They got lost in the sauce in that game. That was a fluke win. And we've beaten Australia many times before that game. We'll beat them many times after the game. Because Australia they don't score goals the way they should. They don't really have a pure striker. Bosnia was playing on borrowed time. That should have been Italy. And honestly, if it was Italy, we never make it past Italy. Italy beats the fuck out of us. We're not a good soccer team. And the truth of the matter is when we were coming into this, people were talking about it like we actually had a chance. And what did I tell you? I said maybe we find a way to get in Belgium's head and we find a way to upset them. But there wasn't a chance in hell that defense was going to be able to put anything together against Spain. If Spain had played us in the next round, Spain would score 10 goals on us. So I'm kind of happy we lost to Belgium because it would have been way more embarrassing. But I'm more upset at the fact that it was embarrassing how bad Belgium beat us, because I don't think Belgium's that good. I don't think they're a very good team.
They're not ranked in the top 5, and they're questionable to be in the top 10. So technically, it's like they weren't top 10 greatest teams that we've,
because they're aging. If this was 3 years ago, that Belgian team's easily top 5. They're still a very good team in my opinion. I just don't think they're a good enough team to beat like a Spain. And watch, they'll beat Spain tomorrow. But I just don't see them on that level. I don't see them there. They're very much like Colombia. They're the European version of Colombia, where they're very good to play with the top tier teams. I don't think they can beat them. So Belgium was a good litmus test.
Yeah.
And I thought from our match that we had with them in a friendly, where we didn't have our top guys and we jumped out to a 2-0 jump on them, and before losing 5-2, I was like, okay, maybe with our top guys we have. I mean, but you want to talk about it? It was mistakes that we were making. Like, the Belgium defenders were laughing.
Yeah.
They were taking the ball away from us like we were kids. Like we were kids. I mean, throw it away. Every single one of these guys should not be on the team in 20. Maybe Balogun, but I mean, even Balogun, dude, you're a striker. Like, why are you even in a position to get a red card? Do you see Harry Kane? Do you see Harry Kane putting his arm around an Australian player in a headlock and bringing him down? Do you see Harry? No. You know why? Because Harry Kane knows he's the most important person on the pitch. And if somebody hits Harry Kane, not only are they going to get a red card, but if you need to get some type of resemblance back, someone on your defense, someone else is getting that red card, not fucking Harry Kane. Yeah. So, like, Balogun's our best player. The fact that Trump had to call to get him out so we can lose 4-1, and for him to really do nothing, it's so
American
fucking
thing, bro. Think about it. That is such an American thing too. All the
It's
hype
so
leading
fucking
into it
stupid.
to get shitted on 4-1. I will say one thing that I got out of this was the idea that next World Cup, the U.S. will now have to qualify. This will not be a hosted event. This will not be something. So at that point, I think we will see a team that is no longer like given the opportunity. This is a team that's just like, hey, if you want to make the World Cup, if you want to make noise, you have to build a good team. And you have to beat teams like Paraguay, not on the national stage, under the lights that no one's watching.
We should do what everyone else is doing. Go take money and go buy a bunch of Brazilians and Africans.
Yes, this team has to go get wins against teams with absolutely nobody watching these games. Is not what you have to do.
Yeah,
because you get
they're not doing it.
Surrounded by Paraguay, you get surrounded because you beat Australia. It's like, dude, the 2002 team, all these teams beat these teams too, and they made it a little bit further. You have to now beat these teams with no recognition. No one gives a shit about your name, and then that's where you're going to qualify to go ahead and lose to Belgium again. So that's the only thing I got away from it, is that if we do end up being better, we have to qualify, and that's the only part where I'm like, that means serious business. That means that they actually have to 100%. Regroup and know how to play ball. Simple as that.
If I'm the director of U.S. Soccer, tomorrow I'm working on work visas to bring in a bunch of Brazilians and Africans. And I'm going to pay them $2 million to just memorize the national anthem. And I'm going to put them in acting classes so they can. I'm going to put them in acting classes so they can pretend to cry when it plays. So people are like, oh yeah, they are American. I'm going to do exactly what France did. I'm going to do what England's doing. Yeah. Here's the matter of the fact. We just don't develop good enough talent to play these teams.
We never have.
Because you know why? It's the sixth. College softball is more important than soccer in this country. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. And quite frankly, you know who's teaching the sport to our youth? A bunch of fucking losers. Mm-hmm. Landon Donovan, Alexi Lawless, Tim Howard, mid guys who what did they do? What did they do? They beat Slovenia.
Yeah,
You know what's funny? You and I are an accidental own goal against Slovenia away from being just as beneficial to U.S. soccer as Landon Donovan. Mm-hmm. He's terrible. He's terrible. And Tim Howard should never be allowed to talk U.S. soccer again after what he did against Trinidad Tobago. That caused us to not qualify for the 2018 World Cup. I mean, these guys are bad. Alexi Lawless, like, you understand the only reason why someone knows Alexi Lawless's name is because a Colombian guy had an own goal that got him killed 10 days later. Mm. And we somehow won that game, and we got destroyed by Brazil. So, like, what are we talking about? Like, the fact that Landon Donovan had the audacity to get on on television and say, I'm the only one who knows what Christian Pulisic is going through right now. And I said, yeah, that's because you're both fucking losers. That's because you're both bad. You're both terrible. How dare any of them tell Carly Lloyd she doesn't know what she's talking about? She's won 2 World Cups. And she's done it as the favorite. So, like, how dare any of them tell Carly Lloyd she can't speak about it? To me, it's the audacity. It's the audacity. I don't.
It was very, very tough to watch, obviously, as a loss because it happened on a day where I kind of felt USA did have a bit of an edge. But okay, Danny, should we go into, because obviously there's been a lot of good games in the last week as well, not just games that disappointed us. I'm just going to spit out 4 scores that we had within the last week. I'm going to give you the full range to talk about which ones you want to talk about, which teams excite you, because I know that you're very much, you kind of like to dip at different points in different teams. So I'm just going to go through these 4 games, and you tell me what important parts you want to talk about, and then we'll go over the next round of 8 teams that we have coming up here. So
Sure.
England did edge Mexico 3-2 in Mexico City. That was probably one of my favorite games of the tournament. Absolutely thriller. I was watching it on my delayed flight. Brazil was stunned by Norway, winning 2-1. Argentina came back from a scary game and survived Egypt 3-2, and then Spain shutting out Portugal. Goodbye, Cristiano Ronaldo. Spain wins it 1-0. Tell me, between these 4 games, you can kind of cover all of them if you wanted to. What excited you? What made you interested? And kind of what have you seen?
I'm still really struggling to, and we were talking about this before we jumped on the pod. I'm still really struggling to kind of really, to really analyze and determine how good some of these teams are. Mm-hmm. Spain really has not impressed me the entire tournament. I felt more like Portugal might have beaten themselves because Portugal never really got going in the entire tournament, and so Spain got away with the one. They've had some games where they've looked very lackluster. Their win against Austria, I felt like that was more just Austria not being just at that same level as Spain. But coming out of that bracket, I mean, Argentina's looked just as bad, and the disaster that's coming out of that Argentina game with Egypt, from the guy with the Israeli flag and the coach putting up his X to say he was going through he was having racist remarks thrown at him, to the Argentinian girl screaming racial slurs at I Show Speed. It's just a disaster, man. And Argentina's kind of been a disaster on the pitch with Lionel Messi making it look pretty. Like, if you don't have Messi scoring goals for Argentina, what a disaster this team has been.
No, exactly.
Giving up 2 goals to Cape Verde. They had some wild games in the group stage, and the only reason why they swept the group stage was because it was Austria, Algeria, and Jordan, who were just kind of rough. And then the Egypt game, look, all the power to Egypt. They have some really talented guys.
Yeah, they played well. They didn't play absolutely.
Yeah, and they played well. They played hard. They played well. I mean, Mohamed Salah is going to go down as not only the greatest Egyptian player of all time, but one of the best pure strikers of all time. I really do believe that he is an incredible player. I loved every minute of that game. I really wanted Egypt to win because I really wanted to see Salah kind of get his moment. I know he had a little bit of a run with Liverpool, and some people got a little bit of recognition. People really don't understand how crazy that run with Liverpool was. He was unstoppable, and you see how everyone's blowing Haaland right now. Salah could easily. I almost said Hala Akbar. Salah deserves that same credit. He's an amazing talent, and I thought they fought their ass off. And I was really bummed. I'm kind of annoyed with the Messi narrative that's been going on about the GOAT. He's always that team sets him up to be, and I understand he's the greatest. I mean, he's done amazing things. No one's going to touch his legacy, but I mean, hopefully maybe Haaland will once it's all said and done. But I mean, same thing with Haaland. Is they're very one-dimensional players. Like that Argentinian team, they work to make him the hero. Not only to win the game, but how can we make Messi the hero? Mm-hmm. And they've even said so. Like they said, the Argentinian players will die for Messi. He is their captain. So like, but you know, like this is what Argentina's been. I mean, last World Cup, it was kind of craziness. No one had them beaten. No one had them beaten France, and then they just pulled out a crazy upset. So. If I have to pick, I would say France and Spain are going to be in it. I'm excited for Norway. I'm excited for Norway and England.
Norway's
That's
probably my favorite team right now, just because they unleashed a power of like, hey, we're a team that's never done this before, but we look like it. You know, they're playing the character pretty darn well. They have a guy like Holland. They have a goalkeeper that isn't even signed to a club. Like he's just like a free agent goalkeeper that is part of. He's Nordic, so I guess they just sign him on. That part I love. I love about the Norway team. Their team is exciting to watch, and then the way they eliminated Brazil. I also don't want to give Brazil too much credit because they weren't a great team this year. So it's not like they didn't beat prime Brazil. They didn't beat the best. They might have beat the 7th best team. Right, is what I'm trying to say.
Brazil was doomed. Brazil was doomed from the start because, and we talked about it in our preview. They did a lot of weird things with the roster to get Neymar on that team. Mm-hmm. And the way Neymar went out, I was very disappointed because he was yelling at a Norwegian goalkeeper. Like, just was a really bizarre way for him to go out. And the fact that they didn't have Richarlison, who was one of their top goal scorers in the 2022 World Cup, who's the Indian Brazilian guy? He's the defender. He tore his ACL right before the.
When you mentioned that, I forgot his name, but I do know who you're talking about.
But he's part Indian and part Brazilian. So they didn't, like, to your point, they did not have their best players. I thought they didn't have their best roster, and it just was kind of bumpy ride. It was kind of a bumpy ride to get to where they got. And Norway is playing freer than I've ever seen any team play. They're just here to have fun.
They're literally just having fun. Yeah, hell yeah.
Well, and Holland can do this against anyone in the world. It doesn't matter what kind of stage he's on. The guy is just a physical freak, and he does things that other people can't do and can't defend. And so it'll be interesting because if he beats England, how much support does he get from Manchester City?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the other thing I was thinking about, and that's a game that's going to be upcoming. So do you want to get into that right now, or is there anything else you want to cover from these past games?
No, let's do it. Let's get into it right now. Yeah.
So round of 8 is coming up. That's the next step here. We did have France-Morocco that did play today. France ended up winning 2-0. Morocco had a very sluggish. Their best scorer was out as well, but they just played sluggish. I don't think this was a great finish for Morocco. I don't think they're going to be very happy with the way this ended. But then we got Spain, Belgium.
You got the Hakimi rape shit going on.
That's what I mean. Like, now that it's all over, the dream is done, and now it's like, hey, like, we have to get back into the serious talks of how well equipped are we without our star players, because they're technically bad people. But Friday we have Spain, Belgium, which today this episode is dropping on a Thursday, so that will be tomorrow when this releases. Norway versus England is a Saturday at 4 p.m. Central, and then Argentina versus Switzerland is 8 p.m. Central on Saturday as well. We have a great slate of games. I'm very, very excited about these games. Danny, tell me in here, and we're not going to pick a champion yet because we did kind of talk back and forth. It's likely to be France or Argentina, blah, blah, blah. We'll get into that more for the next episode when we have 4 teams left. But with these, tell me kind of what you expect, and then what you would see as the most surprising 4 teams left. What you expect and what you think is going to be shocking the world.
Belgium beating Spain, I think, would be the most shocking. No. I'd say Switzerland beating Argentina and going on a run. Mm-hmm. I'd say Switzerland finding a way to win that game, getting into the Final Four, and potentially getting into the final would be crazy. So I'm kind of pulling for Switzerland in that sense. I'm kind of hoping Switzerland and Belgium go to the next round because that would be crazy to see both those teams play. Both those teams playing for a final would be pretty awesome to see. I think France is going to be really hard to beat. However, I think the best matchup for France is England. Norway it's going to be really fun. They're going to have to find ways to build around this team and not just have Odegaard being the one setting up Holland.
So
but
their defense needs to kind of step up a little bit.
They need to get deeper on defense. Harry Kane could very well put himself right there in the golden boot and put him past Holland. And then literally have a chance to beat Mbappe and get that golden boot. So there's a lot at stake for England, where we're talking about like the greatest English team of all time. Yeah. And Harry Kane potentially cementing himself as the greatest English player of all time. If he beats Holland, passes Holland, and then he beats France and Mbappe, and he passes Mbappe on the golden boot standings, he certainly will, in the minds of many, put himself there. And then if they finish it off and he beats Messi and wins the golden boot, I mean, dude, Harry Kane will forever be the greatest English player of all time if he does that.
I am going to out you real quick. And by out you, I mean more so I'm agreeing with you. But earlier in the week, in the group chat you did mention that, is it crazy to root for England? Is it crazy to be a fan of this English team? Yeah. And I think it is not crazy at all. I think I'm actually riding pretty heavily with this English team. Now, the English-Mexico game was a bit hard for me because I have a lot of people of Mexican descent that I know that I was kind of rooting for them as a side bystander. But when England won it, I liked it because England, I think, has a way more exciting shot at winning the whole thing. Just because they have the star power, they have the coaching, they have the strength, and they kind of had the mentality behind them. Like their fans are pretty ride or die. So, but it does go hard when it comes to England versus Norway, because Norway is that team where I'm like, they also have that excitement in me that I really want to watch them beat and perform. And if we're talking about a team that has the most likeliest chance to win their first ever World Cup, it has to be Norway. I mean, I don't see Belgium or Switzerland making that much noise, but Norway versus England Saturday at 4, I think for me has potential to be the must-watch game so far of the World Cup. Even better than what the potential final could be if we see France-Argentina.
Yeah, I think England has to beat Norway only because we saw what France did to Norway when they played in the group stage. I don't think the Norwegians have a defense in place to compete with France right now. Whereas England, you have Jude Bellingham, who can pair up against Mbappe, who's an outstanding player on the back end, and quite frankly won that match against Mexico. I know Harry Kane got the goals. There was a lot of different heroes, but Jude Bellingham was out of his mind. He was one of the best players on the pitch. So I think you need England to get through if you want France out. I don't think anything's happening, quite frankly. I think France is too good. I think they're too good. I think they're getting into the final. I'm cheering for England. I would love to see England win. I would love to see it come home, even though I don't really like them. I never will cheer for Mexico.
That's what I heard, right? Yeah, a lot of people that I spoke to said that before, as a U.S. fan, they'll never root for Mexico.
They talk too much shit. They're definitely our heated rivals. It gets pretty, like in terms of the most meaningful games, because the U.S., when we play in the World Cup, it's not very meaningful because we just get the shit kicked out of us against European teams. The most meaningful game I watch of a U.S. team is when we play Mexico. They're our heated rival, and we play them in the CONCACAF, the Gold Cup. So, you know what, man? It's just like I fancy Harry Kane. I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan. Love me some Tottenham. I think that I think that team is the only team that's deep enough to compete with France.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But who am I cheering for? It's got to be Switzerland, dude. That's Switzerland.
That's a good pick.
You know, like they're like nobody had them on their big board.
Mm-hmm. I didn't.
Nobody had them going this far.
Yeah, I had a bracket that I did with my partner. She actually had me fill it out for her job. It's like they did like a bracket pool, and I think I did pretty good with my picks. I did unfortunately pick Spain to win it, so I think I'm doomed there. But right now we're heading in the top 19th out of 75 participants. We'll see how that goes. But I just want to mention that because that's like talking about brackets and all this other stuff. Like, surprisingly, I did pretty well for where this bracket's at. But a lot of other people thought the same.
I had in my bracket I did for a pool. I did I've had France and Argentina.
Oh my god!
I think it's so annoying. I'd hate it, but I feel like that's where we're going.
It is. Unfortunately, it's we talk about chalk, but we talk about chalk a little bit differently in the World Cup than we do with like NCAA basketball. Chalk in the World Cup pretty much just means that if you've seen it happen and they still look good, it's going to happen again. Meaning by like there's always these two teams. You know, in terms of March Madness, it's always you're going to pick a first seed. There's 4 of them, pick one of them. But here it's like it's even less. It's like pick France. If you're risky, then pick Argentina. That's your pick. That's your you're fighting for right here. But okay, let's one more question and then I'll give you the closing discussion here. Tell me right now, out of these teams, is there one team that you wish you saw was here? And don't tell me the USA. Give me a team that you know deserves to be in this position that could have fought for that championship to win the World Cup. Is there a team that has been knocked out that you think had potential?
The Dutch. The Dutch easily.
Netherlands, yeah.
The Dutch easily. They should have beaten Morocco. Mm-hmm. Losing that game to Morocco was just very pitiful. That was a game that was well within their means to win. I'd say Germany is another team that probably should be here.
Croatia.
Croatia, yeah,
Croatia. Portugal,
you know what, man? I really wanted Japan to beat Brazil.
Yeah, Japan beating Brazil would have been sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's another
but
thing
you're right. Croatia,
Brazil didn't really look good. They didn't really beat Japan overwhelmingly. Like Japan did have an opportunity, so that just showed that if there was any year for you to beat Brazil, it was probably this year. Otherwise,
do you want to talk storylines?
What do you got?
You want to talk storylines? We're missing out on one of the best storylines. It would have been Portugal getting here.
Yeah.
And Portugal, and we have a Messi versus Ronaldo showdown.
The final of all showdowns, man.
The final, the last Messi versus Ronaldo. I think that probably would have been the coolest.
Mm-hmm. It has to be dead, right? That argument has to be dead. Officially, Ronaldo, Messi.
Oh yeah.
Right?
You know, it's funny.
Like if Messi, if Ronaldo did make it, if he beat Spain, and let's say Argentina lost to Cape Verde, then maybe sure, maybe if Ronaldo ended up winning it all. But right now it's dead. I figure.
Yeah.
Messi's still in it. Ronaldo's out. Ronaldo's done for good. Messi's still here. You know, simple as
that. I struggle with that because my thing with that is like we're coming to a point where like is Ronaldo even, you know, for the longest time it was like Kobe and Jordan, LeBron and Jordan, like it was those two and no one was even close. But then now I'm looking at it again and I go, Ronaldo might not be top 5.
Yeah. It sounds a lot like LeBron James conversation, you know.
No. He has individual stats, right? But I mean, if Maradona played in this era, if you know Pepe, if like
they wouldn't be.
Those guys would be doing the same shit, and they probably would have gone to Saudi Arabia for $20 million and put up the same amount of numbers. I mean, not only that, I'm not trying to get on his ass a little bit. But you look at some of the shit that Ronaldo did. I mean, he did it in an Italian league, and I'm sure the Italian league is still a very good league, but it's not like he was doing it at the Premier League for a longer period of time or in Barcelona, Real Madrid. He was doing it with Juventus. And when he was in the Premier League, he was at Manchester United, who had Wayne Rooney, like in 2008, had one of the most insane rosters we've
Yeah.
ever seen in a fucking soccer team. So, look, I'm not trying to shit on Ronaldo, but he's for sure thinks he's the main event player. But, yeah, that argument I think is over. However, if we're going off of goal scoring, if we're just going off of pure goal scoring, Haaland's going to beat both of them.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Because I was texting my brother about it. I'm like, you want to talk about who's the actual best player? Like right now, who is the best player in the world right now? I think it's Haaland. I think Haaland is better than Mbappe in terms of just like his overall skill, his youth. Like we're talking about Anthony Edwards versus like, I don't know. Like just Anthony Edwards is young, spry. He hasn't won much, but at the end of the day, he is. When you're going to bank on someone to be your best player, I think I'd bank on Haaland.
Is it raining?
I'm actually. I mean, it's not raining by me, but I'm more in the downtown area, but I don't see any rain. But should we go into this final closing discussion? Are we ready for this?
Well, I was just gonna say, if Haaland wins the World Cup, this is a man who took Manchester City and won the Champions League, the Premier League. He's won the Carabao Cup. He was one of the few guys who's done the clean sweep in England, where they won every trophy in 1 year. Mm-hmm. So he's done all that. He takes Norway to win a World Cup.
Is he having the winningest year in?
Did
soccer
he
ever?
win? Did he win? Did he do it with Dortmund when he was in Dortmund? Did he win the Bundesliga, or did they? I can't.
I think
remember.
they did because they had a pretty heavy squad there.
Yeah,
like Marco Royce, Jude Bellingham, like they had a pretty nasty squad when he was there too.
Yeah, so I mean, and what is he? 23.
Mm-hmm. Guy's pretty.
So
young.
I mean, you look at what this guy's doing. I mean, the next thing's up. I mean, if he wins the World Cup, he's got to go to Spain.
Yeah, probably the next step.
You got to go to Spain and maybe win La Liga, and then maybe Italy. Like, I'm just saying, I think he might be. I think when it's all said and done, Haaland might be the greatest player of all time.
I do love that conversation because my brother doesn't know much about Haaland. Like he does recognize him, but I, being the social person I am, that I'm involved in every league, even the ones I don't watch. I know how great Haaland's been, and I know how important he's been to Manchester and kind of where his heart resides. But this would be huge if he could pull this off.
Oh, so see, I was early. I was early.
Yeah.
I was early, and why I say I was early is shout out ESPN. Because when he was on Dortmund, Bundesliga signed with ESPN Plus. So like every day before my college football or NFL would kick off, I would go to Hulu and ESPN Plus would just show me the Dortmund game, and it would be Haaland fucking crazy hair. And then when he went to Man City, I thought like if you were following soccer, you kind of knew who Haaland was. It's cool to see the world figure out who he is now. Mm-hmm. It's really cool to see it because he is kind of just a unicorn.
And those players don't come around often, especially for countries like Norway, where they really honestly needed some sort of hope soccer-wise. So it is a good feeling for them. But closing discussion, you ready for this one?
Let's do it.
All right. Closing discussion. So since the last few weeks of World Cup soccer have been a bit crazy in terms of rules and rule breaking and rule changing. Tell me right now, Danny, you're our soccer expert. You've been watching every single game that's been on for the last month. If you were to eliminate one World Cup rule heading into the next few stages, is there a rule on your mind that you would completely knock out, whether it's big or small? What do you got for me?
I think I'd have to look at the offsides.
Okay. Is it with the VAR section, or is it the way that they're being called?
The way it's being called, like we're talking about guys' elbows being offsides, and then we saw with the chip in the ball where it touched the guy's hair,
Croatia,
and the guy scored it with the Croatia game. Look, man, I don't think it should be that big of a deal, right? I don't think it should be there. Now, if it's an egregious offsides, call it. But like if his foot, if his toe, if we're talking about his toe being offsides, I mean, what are we doing? So I think I'd relook at that. And I know like it's becoming kind of a joke of like Americans telling, Europeans how to fix soccer. But I really would, I listen to some podcasts and some streamers who stream about football. I should call it in their native tongue, football. Some footy. They are on the same. Like we've kind of gotten to a point with VAR where they're calling the most craziest, slightest offsides that I've ever seen, and it's just getting to the point where. It's like, what are we doing? Save the flow of the game. Call it a goal. I know at the World Cup we're talking about, this is the biggest stage and everything needs to be 100% accurate. But at the same time, there's just too much break. There's too many breaks in the action.
Let there be some excitement. Like the way we like it in the U.S., you always will be on both sides of a good call and a bad call throughout your entire life in the biggest games you've ever watched, right? All the biggest times you've ever lost and won have all come to one big decision, whether you liked it or not. And we live with that. We live with that because you know that one day it's going to go back to your side. When you look at kind of that perspective and the way that the World Cup's set, where it's like they're just putting things maybe a little bit too technical, which I know the second we go back, we might regret it. That's kind of how sports goes. But that's the part that I agree with you totally on. I think they're going a little bit too into it physically, where they're not giving any leeway to the idea of a drop ball or not even a red card. Let's review it and give them a yellow. Or New York calls back the way that New York would call back during football to be like, hey, that was actually the 6-yard line. It's like you called something completely different. You put it at the 7, put it at the 6. It's things like that where maybe the reviews are getting maybe a little bit too over dialed and some are getting too under dialed. It could go halfway easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. I completely agree there.
I did have one thing that really annoys me that I don't think they would change as a rule. Holy shit, what annoys me so much is when they give you 6 to 10 extra minutes of extra time and then they go over it and you're waiting for the ref for 2.5 minutes of 14 total minutes of extra time to blow the whistle. I hate that. If it goes to 10 minutes, it should be the first whistle after change of possession. The first whistle after change of possession. This time we see it, it's like, dude, teams are getting 14 minutes of extra added time. That's insane. Yeah. That's too much time and hope to give a fan where they're looking and because I think of Mexico, dude. Mexico had 10 minutes of extra time. They went to 14, and they got 6 extra shots off in those 4 minutes. Great for Mexico. That's what you want to see. But at the end of the day, that would have changed things so much differently. Imagine if Mexico, if they went to extra time and then Mexico had penalties and Mexico accidentally won in penalties. A lot of it would change. Then all of a sudden Norway looks like the favorite to make it to the final. You know what I mean?
100%.
And so we want to see these games between England. We want to see the best of the best compete. And so when they're in winning position, the way England was winning, it's like I feel like they were giving Mexico so many fucking chances to where it was almost unfair. Mexico had the ball for 8 minutes of extra added time because 4 of those minutes were the whistle wasn't being blown after the 10-minute mark. Absolutely, I was like, this is fucking insane. Insane the way that works and operates. It's just when he feels like it, when he feels like he's like, oh, the game's over now. I don't think Mexico's gonna win it. Let's blow the whistle. What the fuck is that about? I don't get it.
I had an idea because I don't like penalties. So I have an idea that I wanted to bounce off of you.
Mm-hmm.
What if instead of penalties, we do infinite extra time, but every 5 minutes we go from 11 on 11 to 10 on 10.
Is it like hockey, right?
10 minutes we go to 9 on 9. 15 minutes, 8 on 8. And we just keep going until eventually we have 3v3.
And then we stop at 3v3. Your left forward is out. So all you end with is one defenseman, one midfielder, and one forward. That would be that would go kind of hard. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, and then you have a coach that on the swing has to decide which players get out. And then you'll have a situation where they have to defend, so they finally pull Harry Kane when it's 8 on 8, and you hear them go, "What are they doing?" But Harry Kane brings no defense to a 7 on 7 situation, so they have to think defense. And then I think it would cause pandemonium. And then once you get to 5 on 5, the goal's coming.
No, exactly.
goal's
That's what I mean.
coming.
It's like, and you would never do one where they pull the goalie. I think you have to keep the goalie in there. But the idea where you have one defenseman, one midfielder, one forward, it's like that forward can't play defense. That forward has to stay on the other side of the field the entire time. So you're immediately talking like 2-on-2 for the entire. There is going to be a goal. If you have a fast guy, like if you have a pitch fast guy, you're gonna win and you're gonna score. I love that.
Well, and then once it gets to 2-on-2, you cut it half. You do half court, and you do 2v2 half court.
Do you know how electric that would be? But also penalties are still electric. You do enjoy it, but I like the direction you're heading.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's what I didn't like about it. I don't like the star on Germany telling the 18-year-old to kick a penalty. And then that kid goes up and ruins his life because he misses a penalty.
Yeah, that was Australia.
Or the Australian kid. Yeah, you know, like that's bullshit. It's like
unfair. It's unfair to someone who pledged their whole life, especially already at a young age, to be put in that.
Yeah, if you're 33, you've balled out, you've had moments, go take that fucking penalty. Go be a star. I don't know, like that kind of pisses me off. I'm sorry, I'm peeking. It's AJ versus Darren Peterson right now.
All good, man.
On Hulu. But no, that kind of pisses me off. The other thing, we've gone way too, as a society, we've gone way too into video review. Because now here's what's happening, and it's starting to become people becoming, like, players are becoming lawyers, and as soon as anything happens, they're immediately looking to the ref to complain. And then we immediately go into a 10, 15-minute review. Mm-hmm. And it's just driving me nuts. You know, like, think about what we're losing. I mean, basketball, like, when someone hits a buzzer beater, we go immediately to a review. Mm-hmm. We don't even let the craziness of it all overwhelm us. We go immediately to, let's see if this was actually a buzzer beater.
Yeah.
And it kind of takes away. And then you like football, we spend half our time in review. Baseball now, we got the VAR. Mm-hmm. And then soccer, we're at the same, to the point where I'm sitting there going, well, what the fuck? What are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like,
it's so getting away from the game. But there's episode 18 for you boys and girls. So thank you guys for joining in and watching it. We're gonna be back again next week with a couple different conversations, more NBA news. I'm sure is gonna drop. Bulls have had some news, but we're not going to talk too much about the Bulls because they're very, very pretty early in it. But, Danny, I think next week what we're going to expect from you is a little bit more conversation on Summer League, because I also will be tuning in to give us your heads up on how Darren Peterson, AJ DeBansa, and how all these teams are kind of meshing with each other, because you did have some pretty big things to say, but I'm not going to have you share any of it right now. We're going to go ahead and log off, guys. So, as always, make sure to park on the driveway. We thank you guys for stopping by and watching. Any last remarks there, D?
No, man. Cubs are back. That's my last. You know, we're hitting.
Next week we're gonna be. Yeah, we'll see.
We're at the home run derby, but
yeah.
I've never felt this. I've never felt this bad about a team that's 12 games over 500.
I feel it.
Like I've never felt this defeated. I've never felt this defeated at the All-Star break with a team that's 12 games over 500 and is one of the best teams in the NL. Like I can't do it. It's killing me, man. It's literally killing me. So.
It's a tough one. But we'll get more update on that from you heading into next week, Danny.
Awesome.
It's good to see you, man. We'll chat.
Good seeing you, man. Good talking. We haven't
this had it,
4th of July, so it was
exactly.
crazy. It's always a weird week. It's like Christmas.
Yeah. Everyone who sees this, put happy late birthday to Danny in the comments.
Thanks, guys.
We'll read them. Bye,
Love
guys.
you all. Park on the driveway.